The third and sixth terms of a geometric progression, a GP, are 1 over 4 and 1 over 32 respectively. We are to find the first term and the common ratio, and we are to also find the seventh term. Now, for a GP, the nth term is generally given as AR raised to power n minus 1, where A is the first term and R is the common ratio of the geometric progression. So, for this particular question, we are told that the third term, that will be T3, which already we have been given as ARn minus 1, but instead of n, now we say it is 3, okay, 3 minus 1. So 3 minus 1 is 2. We are told that that third term is 1 over 4. That's the first statement in the question, okay. So we can call this equation 1, and if we also continue with the other sixth term, we are told that the sixth term is also AR raised to power 6 minus 1. 6 minus 1 is 5. We are given that to be 1 over 32. So if we call this equation 2, we can look for a way to solve these two equations. And looking at them, the best bet for us is to just divide equation 2 by 1 or equation 1 by 2, anyone that is convenient. Here, I'll be using equation 2 divided by 1. So that will be AR raised to power 5 divided by AR raised to power 2 for the left-hand side. Then 1 over 32 divided by 1 over 4 on the right-hand side. The A's will cut out. So here we have R raised to power 5 divided by R raised to power 2 is equal to 1 over 32 divided by 1 over 4. I'm writing it in this way so that it can be easy for me to solve. Using the laws of indices, R raised to power 5 divided by R raised to power 2, we can just take one of the R and subtract the powers. So we have R raised to power 3 is 1 over 8, and that is what we are going to try and solve now. That R raised to power 3 is 1 over 8. So you can say R is the cube root of 1 over 8. Alright? Or instead of saying 1 over 8, we know 1 over 8 is 2 raised to power 3. So we can say R is the cube root of 1 over 2 raised to power 3. And of course, the 3's can cut out so that our R, the common ratio, is 1 over 2. So for us to now get the first term, we have to get the first term and the common ratio. That's the common ratio. We can take any of the two equations that we got initially, substitute for the value of R so that we can get the first term. So if we use the equation 1, AR raised to power 2 is equal to 1 over 4. So instead of R, we have 1 over 2 raised to power 2 is 1 over 4. Now 1 over 2 raised to power 2 is 1 over 4. And that means those 1 over 4s will cut out and A will be gotten to be 1. So the first term is 1. The first term A is 1, and then the common ratio R will get that to be 1 over 2. Alright. Now that's not the end of the question. We also have to find the seventh term. Using the general formula that we have gotten initially, the general formula for the nth term, that's Tn is equal to AR raised to power n minus 1. Since we know A, the first term, and we also know R, the common ratio, we can find the seventh term, okay? So the seventh term, if we are to go ahead with that, we can say it will be T7 is equal to AR raised to power 7 minus 1. So 7 in the place of n, then we know our first term A and the common ratio R, so that T7 will be 1 multiplied by 1 over 2 raised to power 7 minus 1 is 6. So that's raised to power 6. So this is 1 over 2 raised to power 6. 2 raised to power 6 is 2 in 6 places. So if you want to use the calculator for that, 2 raised to power 6, that's 64. So the seventh term for this geometric progression is 64. And that is all there is to this question. Given that 2 and minus 3 are the roots of the equation, ax raised to power 2 plus bx plus c is equal to 0, we have to find the values of a, b, and c. Now, 2 and minus 3 being the roots implies that x is equal to 2 or x is equal to minus 3. Okay, so what we need to just do is to just work in the reverse order as if we are solving our quadratic equation, but now we are going to go in the reverse order. So from here, you can say x minus 2 is 0 or x plus 3 is equal to 0. when we move those values to the left hand side. And now we just combine them to be x minus 2 into x plus 3 is 0. If you are to open the bracket, x times x is s squared, x times 3 is 3x, minus 2 times s is minus 2x, minus 2 times 3 is minus 6. So that we have s squared plus x minus 6 is equal to 0. This is a quadratic equation that we get from using 2 and minus 3 as the roots. Now, if you are to compare with the equation we are given, as squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, comparing the coefficients of x and the third term, okay, we are going to see that the value of a is equal to 1, the value of b is equal to 1, and the value of c is minus 6. That is the values that we are asked to find from the question, and this is as simple as it can be. But alternatively, there is actually a general formula that is used to solve this. If we know the roots, we can work with the sum of roots and the product of roots with the general formula that s squared minus the sum of the roots, alpha and beta being the roots now, then times x plus the product of the roots is equal to 0. So in this case, if you want to use this formula, we could have just said that we have alpha plus beta. Our alpha plus beta will now be the sum of the roots, and our alpha beta will be the product of the root. The sum in this case will be minus 3 plus 2, and the product will be minus 3 times 2. If we use this, we also get the same answer. So that is the solution to our question. Any of those cases would have sufficed us to get the solution. Given that sin y is 8 over 17, we are to find the value of tan y over 1 plus 2 tan y. Now, we are seeing sine and we are seeing tan. So this is a classical example of our trigonometric function SOHCAHTOA. Because we know that sin y will be, that was given as 8 over 17, is actually opposite over hypotenuse. So if we are to draw the right angle triangle, well, that's where we are using this trigonometric identity. If we are to draw that, and we say this is angle y, the opposite, the side facing the angle, that's the opposite, okay? The longest side, that's the hypotenuse, and the third side is the adjacent. So in this particular case, we are told that the opposite is 8 and the hypotenuse is 17, okay? Then if we call the adjacent x, we can actually find the value of the adjacent if we are to make use of Pythagoras Theorem by using the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the square of the opposite plus the square of the adjacent. So we bring in the values for the hypotenuse and the opposite. We can solve for the adjacent, which is x, by saying x squared is 17 square minus 8 square. And if we use our calculator, this is 17 square is 289 minus 8 square is 64. That will amount to 225. So that x will be square root of 225, and the square root of 225 is 15. Okay, can always confirm that root 225, that's 15. So now we know our adjacent also to be 15. So we can now go ahead to put in these values for the value that we're asked to find. We first did this by applying the Pythagoras theorem. So if you want to now find tan y, we just got in the adjacent for the right angle triangle. Tan y is 12, that is opposite over adjacent, okay? So tan y is opposite over adjacent, and the opposite to y is still 8, but the adjacent is now 15. So this is the value that we use to find the question that we are being asked here, the value of tan y over 1 plus 2 tan y. We just need to put 8 over 15 in all the places that we are seeing tan y, okay? So tan y over 1 plus 2 tan y will now amount to 8 over 15 divided by 1 plus 2 times 8 over 15. So if we just want to open up this bracket, you can see that this will give us 8 over 15 divided by 1 plus 2 times 8 is 16. That's 16 over 15. So for the denominator, we can just find the LCM for the denominator in this particular fraction. we still have the numerator intact. So 1 plus 16 over 15, the LCM is 15, 1 in 15 is 15, 15 plus the 16 that we are seeing there. So this will give 8 over 15 divided by 15 plus 16 is 31 over 15. Now, not to be confused, I will just break this down as 8 over 15 divided by 31 over 15. Okay, and now to solve that, we just need to reverse the second fraction and turn the division sign to multiplication. So 15 can cut, and this will give us nothing but 8 over 31. So tan y over 1 plus 2 tan y is going to yield us the solution as 8 over 31, and that is our solution. An amount of 300,000 naira was shared among Otobo, Ada, and Adeola. Otobo received 60,000 naira. Ada received 5 over 12 of the remainder, while the rest went to Adeola. We have to find the ratio in which the money was shared. Now, the share of the three of them, Otobo, Ada, and Adeola, is amounting to 300,000. Okay, but now we are told that Otobo received 60,000 out of that 300,000. So Otobo got 60,000 naira. Therefore, the remaining amounts that will be shared between Ada and Adeola will be 300,000 minus the share of Otobo minus 60,000 naira. Okay, so that will give us 240,000 naira. Alright, so we are now seeing that Ada and Adeola, they share 240,000 naira. That is the remainder after we got the share of Otobo out of the total money. So now we are told that Ada received 5 over 12 of the remainder, and remember we just got the remainder. So Ada's share will be 5 over 12 of the remainder, which is 240,000 naira. So that's 5 over 12 times 240. 12 can go into 40,000 to give us 20,000. So 20,000 times 5 will be 100,000. So Ada's share is actually 100,000 out of the total of 300,000 naira. Now, since we now got Otobo's share, we have gotten Ada's share, we can get Adeola's share. Okay, Adeola is going to get the remainder initially, which is 240, minus the share of Ada, which is 100,000. Okay, so Adeola will get 240 minus 100,000, that's 140,000 naira. So we have gotten the amount that each one of them got, and that will help us to get the ratio in which the money was shared. So the sharing ratio will just be that for Otobo ratio Ada ratio Adeola. You just need to bring in their money, okay? The amount that each one of them got. That's what we just need to bring in, and we just find how we can divide them to the barest minimum, and that will give us our ratio. So this will give us 60,000 naira for Otobo, 100,000 naira for Ada, and 140,000 naira for Adeola. Now, what numbers can we use to divide all this? So we can see that, well, all the 60,000, 100,000, and 140,000, all the zeros, 0 in 4 places, we can knock that out. So we have this to be 6 ratio 10 ratio 14. We can still use 2 to divide all of them. So we have 6 over 2, 10 over 2, and 14 over 2. So that ratio will give us 3 in the first place, 5 in the second place, and 7 in the third place. So the sharing ratio that we're asked to get, the sharing ratio for this question is 3 ratio 5 ratio 7 for Otobo, Ada, and Adeola. In the diagram, RS and RT are tangents to the circle with center O. Angle TUS is 8 degrees, angle SRT is equal to X, and that's also equal to Y. We have to find the value of X. Okay, now to solve this question, we need to apply the circle theorems to this question to help us solve it and bring out the relevant answer that we are being asked. And the first thing we need to notice is that in a diagram like this, in which we are having the radius and the tangent, the angle between the radius and the tangent of a circle is a right angle. Okay, so here the angle RTO, the angle between the tangent RT and the radius TO is 90 degrees, and the same applies to angle RSO. Why? Because these are the angles between the radius of the circle and the tangent of the circle. Okay, that's one of the circle theorems that will help us to solve this particular question. And so that means that we have gotten two of the angles in this diagram that were not given, and those two angles are being described as 90. They are right angles. So at T and S, we have two right angles like this. Now that is the first thing that we need to note. Now, sequel to that, if we also look critically at the angle, we can see an arc subtending an angle 60 degrees at the circumference and also subtending an angle at the center of the circle. So the angle at the center of the circle, angle TOS, that's being shown in red, is going to be equal to 2 times the angle at the circumference TUS. Okay, so that means, and why are we saying that? We are saying that because another circle theorem that can help us to solve this question is that the angle subtended at the center of the circle is twice the angle subtended at the circumference by the same arc. So now, if we are looking at these two theorems, we can now look at the figure and we will just see that our question is easily done and solved, because here we are having a quadrilateral, a polygon with 4 sides. Okay, because if you just want to look at the fact that angle subtended at the center of the circle by an arc is twice angle subtended at circumference, we can say that angle TOS is equal to 2 times 68, 68 being the angle TUS, and that is 136. So since we have these two parameters already, we can see that for the quadrilateral RSOT, O being the center of the circle, the sum of angles in that quadrilateral, the interior angles, they will add up to 360 degrees, just like a rectangle with 4 sides. This is a quadrilateral, a polygon also with 4 sides. The sum of that angles is 360, and so all the points marked in blue, if we add them, the sum is going to give us 360 degrees. So we can say angle X plus 90 degrees, okay, plus the angle at the center of the circle, 136 degrees, okay, plus the other angle between the tangent and the radius, 90 degrees. They will all add up to 360 degrees. So if we bring in our calculator to sum 90, you can say 90 plus 136 plus 90, that's 316 degrees. So x plus 316 degrees is equal to 360 degrees, such that x will be 360 minus 316 degrees, and that will give us, this will be 44 degrees. So that is the solution to our problem here. We have this question on word problem, and we are told that 2 tanks A and B are filled to capacity with diesel. Tank A holds 600 liters of diesel more than tank B. That's 600 liters of diesel more than B. Okay. Then we are told that if 100 liters of diesel was pumped out of each tank, tank A would then contain 3 times as much as tank B. We have to find the capacity of each tank. From the first statement that tank A holds 600 liters of diesel more than tank B, that means that A is equal to 600 plus B. Okay, so for every time that the 2 tanks have filled, A will have 600 liters more than B. But in the other case, we are told that if 100 liters of diesel was pumped out of each tanks, okay, so let's subtract 100 from A and 100 from B. Then A would then contain 3 times as much as tank B. So that means A minus 100 is equal to 3 multiplied by B minus 100. And if we open that bracket, we'll have A is equal to 3B minus 300 plus 100. Okay, that will give us 3B minus 200, and we can call this equation 2. So we have a set of simultaneous equations that we can solve, and we can use any method that is suitable for us. Easily, we can say we can substitute 600 plus b for a in equation 2. Okay, so if we use equation 1 in equation 2, equation 1 is telling us that a is equal to 600 plus b. So instead of using a in equation 2, we can just say 600 plus b is equal to 3b minus 200. So if you collect like terms, 600 plus 200, when 200 moves to the left hand side, it becomes plus, is equal to 3b minus b. When b moves to the right hand side, that becomes minus. So that will give us 800 is equal to 2b. And if we are to divide both sides by 2, left hand side and the right hand side, if you are to divide that by 2, you can just say over 2 and over 2. Then the 2 will cut out. 2 in 800 is 400. B will be 400 liters. Alright. Okay. Then to get the value of A, we can just use this value of B that we just got, that B is equal to 400 liters. We can use it for B in equation 1. Okay. So if you are to use that, our A, instead of writing A is equal to 600 plus B, can just say A is 600 plus the value of B, that's 400, and that is 1000 liters. So just interpreting this question and expressing it in mathematical form had helped us to evaluate the value of B and A. So we can say the capacity of each of these tanks, the capacity of tank A is 1000 liters. Okay, that's the capacity of tank A is 1000 liters. While the capacity of tank B, as we have calculated it from the question, is 400 liters. And that is the solution to this problem.